And we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Angels in Action, everyone. I'm sorry I had to log on twice. Wow. Welcome everyone for being here. And I am so excited that you're joining us. Susie will be on shortly. I had some tech issues again this morning. I had to restart my computer and log back in. But here we are, everything in perfect timing. I am going to take you through my little setting the environment and ambiance process that is so important. I always light incense, and I have a special drink that I'm comfortable with. Even if I'm in the car and doing readings and broadcasts, I always have something to drink. Make sure that it's a soothing and relaxing environment that is delightful. And I always light a candle. And I do believe that the candles and the incense really help with our human senses. They help us to attune and connect better to other dimensions, to other worlds, right? So I know I sort of clashed today with my Victorian curtains, but we'll have to all deal with that a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and light some incense. Also, I want to share a little bit today. I'm going to start us off with the Sacred Forest cards. Susie always does such a beautiful job with cards, and I've been dying to read some cards for you guys. So, hi, Susie. So I did want to share these. I'm going to do in a few minutes. Susie and I both, I haven't gotten back into it yet here in 2024, but we both do a daily card pull for our audience. So you should check that out on both of our platforms. And we also have some fun events coming up. I'm going to share those with you all as well. I want to welcome you if you are a new viewer, if you are watching this on the replay, if you join us every week, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Also, I want to just let you know that if you want your comments to be seen, please make sure that on our YouTube page, Susie and Larkin, that you subscribe. Please help us to grow our YouTube page. It is brand new, and we want to be able to help connect more people to their spirit team and help all of you to learn to interpret and communicate with your spirit team. That means your angels, your spirit guides, your loved ones, what have you, and build your intuition to practically apply in your lives. Okay. The other thing is that so if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then we will be able to see who you are and you can comment. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, you want to make sure that you log in. The instructions are in here. You log into StreamYard. It's absolutely free to log in. It only takes a few minutes. Just set up an account and log in through StreamYard, and then we can see who you are. All right. So let's start off with a little bit of incense here. I know that this year has gotten off to a wild and flying start for a lot of people. And I want to let everybody know that the Spirit Guide Meet Your Spirit Guides event that's happening this January 20th in just less than a week now sold out. So I am going to have one for February that literally introduces you to your spirit guides. And Susie and I are also going to be starting a monthly group reading so that, let's see, what should we do today? Let's do black cherry again. Matches my shawl. I love black cherry incense, and I have some more coming in the mail, my friends. So I can test out incense for you, and you can apply it if you like incense. But Susie and I are going to be having, hi, Robin, welcome. Great afternoon to you too. We're going to be having online readings. The next one is going to be January 28th. It's $25 in US dollars per person. And what it is it's an online small group reading, like an online angel party. I know everybody gets on for free online readings, but in truth, that's not the same. If you're getting a free online reading, it really is not the same as if you're getting a private or a group reading. So Susie and I wanted to offer, something a little more intimate where you could get a little more in-depth reading for basically the price of a pizza. So we're doing that. So that is going to be the 28th of January. from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. my time, which is 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. British Standard Time. It's lighter incense here. And then obviously the Spirit Guides event that will be open for registration later today. And don't forget to check out Susie's little angel boxes, their toolkits. Very powerful because it's important that you guys build your own, your own system for connecting with spirit and be able to strengthen your own abilities, which you all have, which means practice. Okay. So let me just light our candle and then I'm going to pull a Sacred Forest Oracle card for you all as we get started today. And Susie will be logging on shortly. These, by the way, Susie is, she's made her own angel cards and I'm going to be making spirit guide cards. I could make angel cards. She could make spirit guide cards. Maybe we'll do it both together, but this is just to make sure you guys have a variety of things that we know that spirit is sharing and saying with us as messages. So those will be coming out as well. You guys will have a lot of stuff coming from us this year. These are from Denise Lynn, who is an author that I absolutely love. And she had, a lot of experiences as a child and maintaining and developing her spiritual gifts. And I know just from reading her work and her posts about her cards, she's the real deal. She really is connected. And so I try to choose cards from those whom I know are really connected and they're getting their messages for their cards from spirit so that when Susie and I are sharing these with you, we're choosing things that really have spirit messages on them. And then spirit just helps use us and the cards as a vehicle to connect to you is what happens. Okay. So just to get us started today, I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these for everyone. I'm sure Susie will do her cards when she gets on. But Denise Lynn, definitely these are cards I recommend. The reason I love the Sacred Forest Oracle cards, my friends, thank you guys for your feedback, and again, for those of you who just popped on, it looks like this, but all her stuff is great. I mean, she is the real deal. She really connects. Some of you may like to hear this, some of you may not, but nature is spirit. And you are part of nature. And one of the things that religion has done is separate humans from nature. They have, said, oh, if you're into nature, nature is paganism, and paganism is the devil, and that could not be farther from the truth. But I just want to remind you all, from a historical perspective, this was a way of controlling the masses. This was a way of, the greatest way to stray from your intuition is to stray from nature and animals. So if you're not spending time listening to nature, if you're not spending time, I'm a terrible shuffler, guys. I got my own way of shuffling. If you're not spending time in nature, if you're not sitting quietly in nature, if you don't have a pet and you're not interacting with animals and learning what they have to teach you, if you're not connecting with trees and plants and rocks, yes, crystals count, but just keep in mind that if it's a man-made societal thing, and not in a far from nature, then that's not spirit. Okay. Spirit works most strongly through nature. This is why we have animal totems and animal guides and things like that. So one of the things that those who try to control society do is separate people from nature the best they can, cause people to be afraid of nature and animals and things like that. And the reason they do that is because when you are disconnected from nature, you have a harder time connecting to your intuition. You're easier to brainwash in human society. So the more humans can be separated from nature, such as by religion or technology, the farther they can, those trying to control society can keep you from trusting your intuition, from getting guidance from spirit and nature. And so one of the reasons that Susie and I are so big in encouraging you guys to get out in nature, like my coaching programs, it's a requirement. You spend time in nature every day. You take 3 to 5 walks in nature every week. It's a requirement because your external world is a reflection of your internal. Okay. And so nature, the spirit guides and angels are always going to encourage you to connect with nature in whatever way that is. But please just keep that in mind that the more society keeps you separate from nature, the more society keeps you cut off from your own intuition, your angels, your spirit guides, and your loved ones. Okay. So nature really helps enhance that. So I think that's really, really important. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a card for you guys from the Sacred Forest Oracle. And if you get into Denise Lynn's cards or anything, you'll see that she really focuses on that natural nature side as well. Oh my God, I can't believe this. You won't believe what I just picked. Just going to pick one card to get us off today here to a start. I picked, and guys, I shuffled these and then I picked from the middle of the deck the card that popped out, the Daffodil Fairy, New Beginnings. And again, guys, Susie picks a card every day for you. And that's something I'm starting back up doing in 2024. So I'll be starting that this week as well with this one. I'm starting with this one. Daffodil Fairy, New Beginnings. So let's talk about that for a minute. Hi, Kim. Welcome. Yeah, welcome from Wales. Wonderful. I'm part Welsh. I'm so excited that you're from Wales. Welcome, welcome. So I love that we, this card is what popped up. New Beginnings, the Daffodil Fairy. Are fairies real? Yes, fairies are real. And on my Larkin Animal Interpreter page, and I'm going to have an animal communication program this year, a mastermind, so people can learn to communicate with animals. Thank you, Kim. They are exquisite. I'm going to be talking a lot about fairies because each animal has a team of fairies. The fairies are basically grounded little angels. They're very grounded and they work with nature. They help them protect and care for the growth, development, transition, struggles of plants and animals. And so fairies are so important. And daffodils are something that pop up in springtime, right? So the daffodil fairy, yes, they really do exist. They really do exist. And Denise Lynn wrote this because she knows that. She deals with and communicates with fairies and nature entities. So on my animal communication page this year, as in the mastermind, as my clients are learning to communicate with animals, we're going to talk a lot about fairies because they are real. Excuse me. But I find that they're very challenging for a lot of people to see and actually connect with. Rafia, welcome. How are you? Welcome from Pakistan. Thank you for joining us. So these, I wonder if I can put this up so you guys can see this while I'm doing the card. Let's try this. I've never done it this way before. I'm going to be doing a lot of readings online this year, so I might as well try this. There we go. Look at that. Hi, Susie. Welcome. I am initiating my daily card reading as well by sharing these cards, Susie. And I shared about your cards and my spirit cards that are coming, spirit guide cards. But so we're talking about fairies. And the card that I pulled just to get it started today is the Daffodil Fairy and New Beginnings. And so, whether you guys recognize it or not, fairies, I connected with fairies. I knew they were there. But for all the things that I've seen and interacted with my whole life, Susie knows this. Fairies was one of the most difficult things for me. I had a terrible time. I mean, elves, trolls, unicorns, dragons, you name it. They were there. But when it came to fairies, I couldn't see them for the life of me. I could communicate with them, but I couldn't see them. And it wasn't until I turned 25 and I moved to Scotland for 4 years. My intuition was just like, oh my God, this is the place to see fairies. So what I did was I spent the 4 years there working and traveling and getting out in nature in Scotland, where one of the places where, I mean, Wales, Iceland, guys, Norway, Germany, all of the UK is like fairy heaven, literally fairy heaven. Hi, Joanne. Welcome, Joanne Lewis. But it's a wonderful place, and that is where I learned to see fairies. And I'll tell you guys a little secret about this, and then we'll get into this card. And welcome, Susie. Welcome. Um, the new beginnings, fairies they love to up the frequency. And they do that from a very down to earth level. And they love when humans are able to see and sense the magic. Because one of the things that fairies do is when and you guys don't know about all this, but hi Melody, welcome. When the dimensional gates closed and they really isolated the world that you and I are in right now from more of the magical realms, which some of us are working on reconnecting. One of the beings that really was able to continue to get through for some of us to at least sense was the fairies. And so what the fairies do, and this is all just coming through right now, guys. Like I knew this, but I didn't know this in this detail. And so I think since I drew this card, the fairies are giving me this information right now. So this is actually really exciting. Susie and I learn from talking to spirit, even when we're live doing readings. One of the roles that the fairies played in protecting our um our current dimension from losing the magic when the dimensional gates were closed by darker energies is that the fairies were able to get through. And so the fairies have hung on and clung to and continued to work with nature, and they have maintained and protected the magic that is there for us and available for us. So it is powerful and important to connect with fairies. And the new beginnings energy, I want to share with you what the Daffodil Fairy wants to share with that. It's not just about it being a new year. It's that the Daffodil Fairy can bring new beginnings into your life every single day. And one of the ways that they do that is by you connecting to nature. So bring a new plant into your home. You can bring fresh cut flowers or a plant that is flowerful into your home. If like you bring cut flowers into your home and when it dies, make sure you discard that and throw it out, because the life of that plant has gone through its cycle with the fairies. But as soon as you bring new fresh flowers in, those fairies are going to attend to that. And that means you'll be able to maintain that fairy energy in your home. You're bringing nature into your home. So anyway, this is important. And this little card is just a reminder that the fairies bring these new beginnings into your life every day. So it's not just about New Year's. It's also about the fact that you have the power in working with nature and the fairies. Hi, Maria. Welcome. To bring new beginnings into your day every day. It's not about New Year's. It's not just about your birthday. It's not just about Easter. It's not just about the first day you move or get a new job. It's that those new beginnings are there for you every moment. And the fairies and angels and spirit guides are there to help you recognize that. Okay. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is our little card for today. I'm sure Susie will have cards later, but I've been dying to share these cards with you guys because they're so magical. Welcome, welcome, Susie. How are you, my friend?
Hi. Great, thank you. Yeah, so sorry I'm late coming in. Oh, wow. It's been a day of unexpected delights. I've had 3 different sets of visitors today, all totally unexpected and out of the blue. So it's just been really nice. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I can now have a sip of my chai tea, which is probably cold by now, but that's okay.
Oh. So hi everybody, welcome. I've been saying hello in the comments, but it's so great to see you all here, and thank you so much for being here. It's amazing.
You're welcome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that.
So I will go back and watch the replay just to see the beginning so I can catch up with the card that you chose.
Wonderful.
Looks lovely.
Hi, Rafia. Welcome.
So I don't know.
So I think that this card, Susie, really set us off on a beautiful topic for today, and embracing and including the fairies in our discussion.
Sounds good.
So is the new beginnings, because we're halfway through January, and what I've noticed in my clients and students is, and my audiences, is that people are already feeling they're already feeling down and frustrated. They're already their new year and their goals and their success. And so this might be day for us to, along with taking readings and giving guidance, to, I think the fairies were saying here, hey, let's remember that, just because New Year's is over doesn't mean that, that you're failing, that your year's over. Because I find by February and March, people are already like, I already blew it for the year, I give up. And I think, the fairies are constantly trying to up the frequency. They're like little cheerleaders, and they're always like, no, come on, like, look, new beginnings everywhere. Let's go. When you bring fresh flowers into your house and you love them, and then they die, right? Because they've been cut. The fairies don't mourn over that. The fairies are like, okay, come on, let's bring in new flowers, because they went through a whole life cycle with that flower. And so, we carry that energy on with us. That's the whole idea of bringing more fresh plants and flowers into your home. And you can do that. The message here is translate that into your year, into your everyday life. When something isn't going right or the way you want it, allow for that energy of the new beginning. Allow the fairies to come in and be like, hey, look, here's a new opportunity. Because, it's our judging of ourselves that make things so difficult. And when we can lighten up and fly higher and continuously see new opportunities, or maybe if things don't seem to go right for you yet this year, understand, don't forget what we spoke about last week. It's all a process. So this just means you're being moved on to the next part of the process. Okay? Thank you, Maria. I'm glad you're enjoying all the new cards. That's fabulous. I think Susie and I are card addicts, honestly. I'm just
ever so slightly, yeah.
Let's see. Maria says, I know halfway through January. How can you believe how time's flying by? So true. So true. And I love this. Joanne Lewis says, it's true. There can be mischievous fairies. Absolutely. But again, that's the playful energy. So we can learn so much from them, right? That is so true. And that makes sense that they work with animals, right? Animals are playful and fun with those things too. When you guys see, it sounds so cliche, doesn't it, Susie? But when you see your animals playing with things or interacting with things, guys, the beings from those dimensional gates that our mind closes off, they see, and they won't play with them all the time because it's just a norm to them, right? Seeing fairies and spirits and loved ones and spirit guides and angels are normal to the animals. So, it's not that if they're not playing with them, they don't see them and they're not there. It's just, sometimes they play with them and they're in the mood and have an interaction, and sometimes they don't. Yeah, Susie's shuffling. She is.
Yeah.
Cards earlier on today, guys. We're on a card frenzy here. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. The cards will be coming out later.
Yeah. So do any of you have any of that going on this year where you can feel that your energy kind of dwindling from New Year's, and you feel yourself sort of like you were hanging from a harness, like kind of going like this, like, okay, well, what do I do now? Now that the momentum of New Year's is over. Do any of you guys have that coming on? Because if you do, and you are, you can look to, the fairies as well for that energy. You can even say to them, part of this mischievous, Joanne, energy that you're talking about is, that mischievous energy can help you guys get your momentum back, believe it or not. So ask them to help you get your momentum back. What do you think, Susie? Do you run into a lot?
Definitely. What's coming to mind for me while we're talking about elementals and fairies, I think for me, it's very much about finding, it's like everything. We all know everything is energy. We connect with that energy, but also it's understanding that the energy that we connect with can be about our own personal energy field as well, I guess, in that, for those of you that you may know or you may not, but each of the elements, air, earth, fire, water, ether, all have their own elementals connected to them. So fire are the salamanders, Air is the nymphs. Water are the undines, and earth is like the gnomes and the pixies and those. So I find, for me, when I first started working with the fairy elemental energies, is I found the element that I connected the best with. Now, I love watching fire. I love the flame and, you know, the warmth that comes off of fire. But I really connect with water. So I'm very much, you know, walk by the ocean, you know, paddle in the sea, that sort of feeling, by a river. If I really need to do something with my own energy field, water is my go-to. So there are many ways, and I know, Larkin, with your astrology and everything, you probably have a better sense of which star signs will connect to which elements. It's not my thing. So it's finding, I think, part of that you can then use that as a tool to help you to connect to the element. And then that way you can then, once you've made that connection, draw in the intention to connect to that particular fairy and how they are and how they'll work with you. So it's everything. It's the same with your angels. I mean, fairies are angels. They're another energetic angel.
I
So
did that before you popped on.
you know, they're just another form of the angelic realm. So yeah, so if you want to find a way to connect, that's one of the ways that you can do that. Find out which element you connect the most to. You know, I'm actually an air sign as well, and a water carrier. The Aquarius sign is the water carrier, but it's an air sign, but I connect to the water. So it's just, I feel, a way of just finding how you connect to these elements, and then find practices that can then take you into connecting with the fairies. Again, the other thing that's coming up around this is when you're making that connection, when you're wanting to be able to, let's say, for, you know, argument's sake, you want to see the angels, you're not and the fairies, you're not seeing with your physical eye, you're seeing with your third eye. And again, they can present themselves in many different ways. So for me, my first experience of connecting with the elementals was, I remember I'd probably done a meditation, and we're talking years ago now, but I'm being drawn back to this image and everything. And I was in my bedroom, so I'd obviously been sat on my bed doing my little meditation. And all of a sudden, I started to see sparkles and flashes of coloured lights. And that was my first experience of connecting to the fairy energy. Because when I went into asking, and this is something else to do, when you start to get this connection, you ask, you have this sense, and you just ask the question, are you the elementals? Are you fairies? Are you an angel? Are you a spirit guide? And your own intuition, your own gut instinct will tell you which is right. It's us, when we question it and doubt it, that we then push that energy away. So just be open to the first answer that comes to your mind, you know. And I remember saying, are you fairies? And this little sort of frisson of energy went through me, and it was almost like a yes, because I just felt so excited. I didn't hear the word yes, but it was this excitement. So I just knew that that's what I was connecting to. And this was daytime, this was daylight. So that was my first experience. And then I sort of moved away a little bit from it, as you do. And then I remember being drawn to drawing very childlike pictures of fairies. So I knew again that they were connecting with me. But I also want to touch on the question, was it Joanne who asked, are they mischievous? I have a lovely story about mischievousness. I went to a spiritual retreat in Wales, and I used to go 1 week every month to this retreat, partly to learn, partly to work for the lady that ran it. And it was all an amazing journey. So we did a lot of walking in the Welsh hills, sitting in the grounds with the trees and all the beautiful energies that were flowing around. And this particular week, we were learning about the elementals and the energy of fairies and all the connections that we get with those. And I remember being sat in my bedroom talking to my friend who I shared the room with. And I was sat on the chair at the table and she was laid on the bed, and we were just chatting away. And all of a sudden, I felt this tug on the hem of my skirt. And I looked at her and I thought, well, she's laid on the bed, so she's not doing it. And I looked down, couldn't see anything. And I had a big flowy skirt on, it was huge. And then again, I felt another tug on my skirt. And I said to Nettie, I was like, what is going on? And she just laughed because she'd been doing this work for a lot longer than I had. And she was very in tune with the elemental energy. And she said, well, what do you feel or think it is? And I looked and I went, it's a gnome. And there was this little gnome running around the bedroom. And to get my attention, it kept tugging on my skirt until I acknowledged that they were there. And then with that, so I'm like, okay, you can stop pulling on my skirt now, because if you're peeking, off you go. So he was being, and I do sense it was a male at the time. And I just thought, you're being very mischievous, because he just kept tugging and lifting the hem of my skirt. I was like, no, that's enough. You're not doing that anymore. Off you go. So yeah, so for me, I feel it's just having, as with everything, it's getting into that right energy vibration and just finding the tools that will help take you there. And first and foremost for me, it was getting in tune with which elemental energy I really connected to, and then using that as my tool to make the connections to the fairy realm.
Absolutely. And you guys can be in touch with all of them. It's just that, at different places and different times, you might run into or interact with different ones. Some you might interact with more than others. You know, when we're talking about elements in astrology, all of the elements have a play for all of us. And what happens is the elements tend to balance us out as well. So, for example, it's not just about your sun sign. In ancient astrology, your moon sign was actually the strongest one. So just like anything, they're just part of a factor, right? And so what we find is that I'll post one of these up here to kind of, hold on a second. Let's see. There's one I wanted to post up here about, so like, for example, this one here where Marie is saying, stress, get into water and it's all gone. So I think that's a really good example because like Susie was saying, for different people, it can be different things. For some people, the fire energy can be more healing. But I also want to remind you, for different parts in your life, sometimes it's whatever. So the elements will balance you. The elements always balance each other. So, it may be that at one, there's a consistency that, you always feel like you have visions and you feel at home and at peace when you're in front of the fire. But yet you find that when you go to the beach, it's an opportunity for you to heal, right? So these different elements will all have a role and a place in your life, but some might have a stronger pull for you than others. And when it comes to the astrology, for example, since the moon sign was seen by the ancients is actually much stronger than your sun sign. And that's because it is the ruler of the emotions, right? So again, there's a balance there. Like, I'm an Aries, so I'm a fire sign, but most of my chart is actually water. I have air in there, I have earth in there. I have a very well balanced chart. However, there's a lot of water in there. So people see me or whatever, oh yeah, they can see the fire, but really the water runs deep. So I often need, like, I love candles and things like that because I actually need to balance my water, because the water and fire in my chart causes a contradiction, which is good. It's actually a balance. So you guys will find that for different things, these different elements work for you. And you don't even have to interact with the elementals consciously for that to work for you. Just being around and enjoying and embracing the elements themselves. Um, it is unspoken. The elementals are already there. So some people, for example, they're afraid of the wind. I have a lot of friends who are afraid of the wind. I love the wind. That's not the main side of my air sign, but my fire wants and needs that wind. The water within me feels the power of the wind, right? Think about an ocean when it gets windier, there's a hurricane, right? Think about, the fire needs air, not too much air, but it needs air to breathe, right? When you blow on the fire, fire pit or something, it gets bigger, right? So when it gets super windy and it's dangerous and I shouldn't be outside, guess where I am? It's literally like I'm a magnet. It's like a moth to a flame. Everyone's like, oh my God, close up, come inside, it's windy. And the trees are bending in half. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get outside in the middle of the wind. So you guys can play with that. These are things you might not have paid attention to within yourself, but they're also things that you can use to your benefit. And whether you sense the elementals or not, they're there because they're part of what's making that feel the way you need it to feel, which I think is super cool. So let's see here. Like car driving by, maybe. Oh, like cars driving by. Oh, she's still talking about the window. Okay.
Yes, because of the way my PC was, you could see through the kitchen door.
I got light coming in too.
Yeah, I've just moved it slightly. So
I was thinking about wind. So when she said that, I was like, oh, wind. Hi, Donna Ray. Welcome. Maria says, I'm in Aquarius February 18th. Oh, your birthday's coming up. Welcome. Awesome. Yeah. So guys, it really is your whole chart. It is your whole chart. And you can really make use of that entire chart. I think a lot of the modern day astrology stuff really just focuses like on your sun sign and stuff. And it just does not stop there. Stephanie, welcome. My friend, the mini medium, is here. You're an air sign. Yes, Gemini. I love it. Element of water for healing. Fantastic. And welcome. Let's see. What is this? Started seeing colors. Is that? Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah. So the seeing colors when your eyes are closed. Rafia says, I started seeing colors in light while my eyes were closed. I saw Buddha and Christ after initiations of a Reiki master level. That's awesome. So, that can be, no, you're not getting old. Never. I don't even, that's word's not even in my vocabulary. So there's several things that can happen when we close our eyes. First of all, we do see colors when we close our eyes anyway. So that is actually a natural thing. And if your adrenaline is up or your excitement or whatever, you'll actually see more colors usually, because the blood is flowing and your brain is literally seeing what your eyes are seeing through your eyelids, like in your eyelids. So we all see colors anyway. But then you can also see vision. So if you can determine the difference between that, Rafia, that's wonderful. It sounds like you had a beautiful initiation there. That's fantastic. So you're just going through this beautiful process of your eternal soul, right? Going through the beautiful stages of, the human body and all of its different phases, as our body gets older. So, that's a very positive way of looking at it for sure. Fantastic. So guys, welcome the elementals. And again, what's just coming to me right now, I want to share with you is that remember that this whole world and life experience is a whole big picture for you. And one of the things that Susie and I enjoy doing here is broadening your world, beyond the everyday humdrum, get up, get your coffee, go to work, go to bed, whatever, go through your down to earth, egoic human struggles. This is about so much more than that. My cat looks like it's going to have a hairball. Sorry. This is the second time this has happened on a broadcast this month. And of course I missed it. Okay. No, sorry. No, I don't know. I can
All live and natural here, guys.
Yes, you got the fairies didn't help me on that one, did they?
Yeah.
No, I went to put a towel under him and he turned around. Sorry, guys. I have one of the I'm gonna throw this in here. This sounds like I'm being ADHD here, but one of the reasons I run late for stuff is I've got 4 horses, 5 cats, and 3 dogs, and a lizard. And I don't live real close to my horses. So, I do a lot of animal rescue. And right now here in the US, it was 5 degrees last night. So with the wind chill, it felt like it was below 0. And let me tell you, it was freezing. So that meant heating all the water buckets for the horses so they could drink for a short period of time, all sorts of things. So it just takes a long, I've got way too much on my plate. And you just got an example of it right there. I'm lucky I'm even awake right now. Maria said gross. Yeah, well, you didn't have to pick it up. Let's see. Noah's Ark. Yes. That's right. Welcome. Right? Noah's Ark. You got that right. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys before we moved on to was, in case you guys want to be in touch with some of the elementals, the elves were super easy. They always popped right up for me, and we had communications, and we always have. But with the fairies, I must say I was honored to live in the UK because I started getting, I bought Ted Andrews' book. Don't remember the name of it. It's still packed away from moving, but it was something Living with the Fairies or something like that. But Ted Andrews is wonderful about fairies. And I had read his book dozens of times and I still couldn't see them. When I moved to the UK, it was really neat because the air, the sky, the weather is different, and it's just such a home and heart of the fairies. And I felt that immediately. Like, I felt them greet me when I got off the plane. It was nuts. As soon as I walked out of the airport, I was like, oh. But one of the things he suggests is, and this is true of elementals anyway, they love the edge. It's not that they love it. It's that because their dimensional gates got closed off from ours, it's easier to see them and connect and sense them on the edge of something. So the edge of a doorway, the edge of a puddle, the edge of night and day, so dusk and dawn, the edge of the field and the forest. And I took this to heart. Ted Andrews was talking about this. I took this to heart. And it's always raining in Scotland. So I would always sneak out of work, sneak out of my office. I'd run out to the parking lot and I'd stare for God knows how long at these puddles, right? And that's where I first saw the fairies. And they were literally like jumping up and down, like, we're here, don't you see us? We're right here. But it was true. It was on the edge of the gravel and the water. And another thing I want to throw out for you guys that really helps is if you soften your gaze. So even though your third eye has a big part of this, you can literally see them, but you have to kind of soften your gaze, soften your focus. And that sends a signal to your brain that says, don't try so hard. And then it will be easier to, there's so many ways to get proof, but to get your proof there. Susie, I want to turn this over to you, but I have to look at this. Kim Bass says, oh, bless him. I have 6 cats, 4 dogs, 1 bearded dragon, 5 rabbits, 3 terrapins. Wow, bless your heart. I wanted a bearded dragon, and I started out with a leopard gecko.
I thought I was doing well in the days when I had 5 cats and 2 dogs.
Well, my husband and I had 7 or 8 dogs and 10 cats when we first got together. And it was insane because we were in a teeny tiny little place. But, it works wonders if you go the route of animal communication and allow yourself to do that. It's so wonderful because it makes your life easier. And they do it's so much easier for humans, I think, to integrate them in as family and to know what they need. And if you've got that many animals, it makes life a lot easier. But thank you for sharing that, Kim. That's just wonderful.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But they bring such joy, and in their own way that, you know, for me, animals are very much about helping us to connect to the elemental world anyway. You know, they're so grounded and in their own energy, aren't they? And
They
yeah,
are.
it's just.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Allison. You're so right, Susie.
And they're so good at being in tune as well to when something's around. I mean, I remember particularly one of my cats that I had, you know, this, he would just be watching the curtain rails or the windows. And of course, eventually I'm like, well, what are you looking at? And then as I tuned in, then I started to realize, you know, that there was the fairies jumping around the curtains, or, you know, just being present and playful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. And and you might notice, guys, your animals also have their own little animals, like their spirit animals and such. So like we have a horse at the barn who attracts every animal under the sun. I mean, he's had squirrels, baby bunnies, and chipmunks in his stall.
Wow.
Along with birds. I mean, none of our other horses have had this. So this horse really attracts, and you'll notice the horses attract different animals. My border collie used to always attract lightning bugs. And she was very much like, I mean, she's a border collie, right? She's, you know, hereditarily from Scotland. And her name was Jags, which is short for Cumbrian thistle, because they call the thistle a jag. And Jagsy was her name. And she was like a firefly. It was kind of interesting because after she passed away, I realized I always called her my little firefly. And she acted like a little fairy. She was right on the cusp of Cancer and Gemini. And she was just very gentle and flighty. And you just would have thought she was a little, you know, a little flower fairy or something. But in the summertime, the lightning bugs were always on her. And if it wasn't lightning bug season, it was little butterflies. But they would just come and sit in her fur. And my other dogs had similar fur, and the same thing didn't happen. So pay attention with your animals, because you'll notice different elementals gravitate towards them. What does Peaches have anything in particular, Susie?
She's definitely got an awareness. She's not so much her, but my other dog Griff that I had, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, he was very in tune, very in tune. So, and after Felix, my cat of like nearly 20 years had passed, I always knew when Felix was around, because him and Griff had such a beautiful relationship anyway. And the minute Griff was like, oh, right, looking at the curtain rail or chasing around what seemed to be nothing in particular around the room, I realized that Felix would be there and they were playing. But Peaches, it doesn't seem to have. She loves to see other animals. So now where we live in this new house, we've got a couple of grey squirrels in the garden that come and rest in one of the trees. And she just watches. She just is like, yeah, you're there. I see you. But I was just talking about this earlier, actually, with my friend who popped in. And I was saying, I don't know how in tune she, you know, how she got to know this, but she's not a dog that barks as a rule. You know, when somebody comes to the door, her ears perk up, but that's it. She doesn't actually bark. The other morning at about 4 a.m., she was absolutely going mad barking. Never heard her do that in the night. And I've had her, 7 years now. And I'm like, okay, new house. What's disturbed her? So I got up, as you do, wandered around the house at 4 o'clock in the morning, seeing if everything was okay. Everything seemed fine. And I just happened to glance out the kitchen window, and there in the front was a black cat with the most amazing green eyes. And I was like, how on earth did she know that cat was there? It was it was dark outside. I only happened to catch it because just as it was there, a car drove past and the headlights caught it. And that cat's been in the garden again today. And I'm like, okay, so she's obviously in tune with something at the moment. But yeah, that was really interesting for me.
Allison Roper, Allison Short, and Kelly, welcome. Yeah, that's amazing. You know, guys, their sense of smell and hearing and sight are multiple times better than ours.
Yeah.
I mean, just even underwater, the dog's sense of smell, just the average dog, is more than 10 times better than ours. So, they have so many amazing senses that, often, humans are just like, oh, be careful, or cut it out or stop it, or you're being bad, when they're really trying to tell you something. And and so this is very important, because as we develop our relationship with animals, we also develop our sensitivities and our intuition to connect with spirit. So hi Tia, welcome, great to see you. Let's see, somebody up here said Allison's got 5 dogs. Wonderful, I love it. Most of my animals are rescues. Yeah, and you know what, guys, I actually they are blessings. I consider them all rescues. I mean, when I got my border collie, I did get my border collie from a breeder, and I am perfectly okay with that. These were dogs that were, there were only a couple of them left. And the truth is a lot of dogs that people buy from breeders end up being rescues anyway. So I got her for probably a quarter of the price because he wanted to get rid of the rest of the litter. So honestly, she probably would have ended up being a rescue. So, they're all blessings, and they're all so grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can learn.
But also as well, if it's something that I think for me, if you're wondering about whether your energy field, if you like, is in balance, or you're making that connection. One of the things that I find, particularly, she doesn't do it so much now, but particularly when I first started and I was meditating, or I was connecting on a Zoom call or something like that, where there was like meditational work or spiritual practices taking place, she will always come and sit herself front and center on my lap. She does, and I'm sure you remember this from the times when we did the mastermind classes, Larkin. She was always present. I mean, I think now, because she's got so used to Larkin and I working together now, she doesn't do it that much. But certainly when I'm doing other things that are new, I was on a Zoom call the other day doing some healing practice with somebody. I was on a mentoring session, and she was there front and center. I was like, I want this. So they love it, don't they? Connecting with the energy and just being aware that when they're doing that it almost feels to me like they can be a conduit for the energy that's flowing, back and forth between you and the other person that's around you as well. So yeah, just embrace them, just bring them into the practices that you do. I had a friend years ago who would never allow her animals in her therapy room or meditational space, and I sort of understood that, because obviously some people are allergic to animals as well. But I just said to her, you really need to allow them in, to just embrace that energy as well. And she did change that practice, and found it very beneficial for her and her animals as well, because it can be very healing and very therapeutic for them. I mean, Peaches will be 8 this year, and she probably looks about a year old, and everybody comments on how young she looks and how young she acts and how agile she is. And I believe and put that down to the energy that she lives in this space.
Oh yeah, they all come with a purpose, guys. They do have souls. They all have a purpose.
Oh, sorry, did you?
Oh, that's okay. I wanted to share this one first. Where it is. Oh, there we go. I agree with Maria. I'd rather spend all the time with my animals as well. And guys, it's because they don't have the human ego. You want to be with them because they are like the essence of the eternal you, without the ego. So you're interacting with pure, unconditional, innocent love and gratitude and appreciation. Even if you have an animal that is, has challenges or is, afraid of things or whatever, there's still the pure consciousness functioning in this body, right? Without all of that. Yeah, Maria, they love you unconditionally. And you know, I mean, oftentimes I feel like they don't, you know, we don't deserve them because we've got this ego part, and really they're our teachers. They teach us so much. And, you know, I think that if we can, again, it all goes back to what the angels and spirit guides are always trying to encourage us, which is slow down, stop believing your thoughts, be aware of your thoughts, and learn to be present. And your non-human animal friends are present. They're always present. And so often we get annoyed with them, or we tell them to stop barking or get off our bed or whatever it is. You know, we don't give them what they need physically or mentally and emotionally. And we think they cause us problems. But really, they're trying to tell us something. If it was a human being, they'd say, hey, look, cut it out. Like, I need this. I'm not getting this. I don't feel good, or I don't like this, and you're not listening to me. They can't do that because they don't speak our human language. So they find other ways to tell us, but they're still trying to communicate. And they pick up a lot more on us than we do for them. They require so little of us, and they love us unconditionally. Yes, that's something to definitely, so much that we can learn from, right? For sure. So thank you guys for sharing this. I think it's important to bring these topics of elementals and animals up as we talk about angels in action, because, you know, as Susie and I were saying, elementals they are a form, they're like an earth angel, right? And they are there for natures and the elements. And, you know, animals as well. Animals are, you know, there are different forms of animal angels, and that's a whole nother topic, but they are there and they carry that unconditional love with them as well. So that's important.
And one of the other things that, if you're wanting to really strengthen that connection with yourself, your elementals, and the angels, call on, I would use the energy of Archangel Raphael and St. Francis of Assisi, you know, to bring in that energy. I mean, I'm just going through my card deck and picking out the cards that were all connected to that. And I remember when I drew this, when I painted this, well, I drew this, this was I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well with it being a glossy card. But when I drew this card, it was a pen drawing, and you can't really see it, but tucked in there are little butterflies and rabbits. But this was very much a fairy elemental that came through. But when I sort of sat with it and sat with the energy to channel the message that came through, it was St. Francis of Assisi that came in. And of course, he was very much about caring for the animals. So if you find that you are not finding it easy to connect, then just call in these beautiful beings, you know, work with them, work with the energy of them to help you. So Raphael and St. Francis of Assisi, just call upon them and ask them to come and help you to strengthen that connection. You know, work with green crystals, because Raphael is very much known to be connected to the color green. I see St. Francis of Assisi connected to the earth, so it's all very, you know, it's all your greens and your flower colors, and just make things colorful and joyful as well when you're doing these practices. I think sometimes we get to a point where we think we've got to sit in quiet contemplation or meditation and just be really still, but that's not always the case. You know, animals move around, they love the energy of movement, they love the energy of playfulness. So just incorporate that, for me, is showing us the way, you know, when we're connecting, wanting to connect with our elementals, is to use that energy of play and joyfulness and fun. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate all these little tools, if you like, to help you make that connection. I mean, this was another elemental card that came to me again. The word that came through with this one was playtime. Yes. And there's sort of little fairies there on it. I'll try. I maybe use some of these cards and do a little YouTube separate video so we can see better pictures of them. But this was another one. This was a digital art representation, and fairy, you know. So there's lots of ways that I feel you can find to connect But as I look at these, a lot of them are very much all about the greens and the yellows and, having fun and being playful.
So I wanted to I popped Allison's comment up here for a minute, and it goes with a couple other comments down here. Allison talking about her 8-month-old puppy and, going to the chair where her mom used to sit and being friendly and interacting and, basically, and I agree with this, seeing and sensing your mom there. And, they do that and they're drawn to that joy and to that love. And it's interesting because, along with Allison's comment, hi, Anne, welcome. Yes, we'll talk to your dad in just a moment. I love this too. Just, they do require so little of us. And I just want to share this. Maria says, I worry when I'm around people that don't like animals. And I think with good reason. So you try to stay clear of them. So here's the thing with that, guys. And this is just my opinion and observation from doing this stuff my whole life. I have found that, you have a very good point there. I would say that you don't need to worry. I would, if you can remove the worry part of it, because then that sets in a vibration of attracting more of that because you're focused on it. I would just, do more of an acceptance of, okay, there are people that connect with animals and there's people that don't. Look at it objectively as the more conscious we are, the more connected we are, the more we love and appreciate and at least are kind. There may be people that aren't big animal people, but they're at least kind and compassionate to the animals, right? If you're non-animal people are at a different conscious level as a human being, a different egoic place. Maybe they didn't grow up with a lot of animals. Maybe they grew up with parents that didn't like animals or whatever. But the point is if we have that innate connection to animals, there is a different level of consciousness there because we're able to interact kindly and equally with that non-egoic energy. And so we have that ability. That means to attune more to that. We're more aware, even if it's the 95% of our mind we're unaware of, to attune to just the consciousness that we all are, the consciousness that is the oneness with us and non-human animals, because we are animals. I'm sorry. A lot of religious people like to say we're not animals. We are. You're either a plant or an animal. That's it. So we are these non-human animals have the blessing of not having to deal with our ego, but we also have the responsibility then to use our intellect to, be able to do things that maybe they can't do in this world. Right. So just keep that in mind. Steering clear of them is a good idea. Let's say if it has to do with close relationships or friendships, because you'll be out of sync. But if you have the opportunity sometimes to share things, a lot of times it's the opportunity not only to help that animal, but to maybe add awareness. Sometimes people just aren't aware, right? So for example, I've had clients who were, angry at their dog because they wouldn't sit. So they go, sit, 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 sit. My dog won't do it. Well, guess what? Your dog counts the amount of times you say sit. So if you say sit 30 times in a scolding voice, the dog's already going to have a misbehavior because they feel like they're in trouble because they hear your tone of voice. But if they have sat at 30 times and you've said it 30 times, or you push their butt down after 30 times, they're going to count to 30 before they sit. So you have to say their name, sit, and give them a chance. Then you may have to the next time tap their little bum or lift them up a little by the chin or the collar and help them figure out what it is. Because believe it or not, if you think they're disobeying or whatever, they always have a reason. And most of the time, it's our human inability to communicate in the way that the dog understands. So my point here, Maria, is what you can do is you can also kind of take that around and turn it into a positive as well. This won't work with everyone. But if, for example, you have a friend or someone that just maybe doesn't know, you can drop little hints or guidance in a positive way. Like you might say, oh, look, your dog actually is wanting to do this. Try just saying it once, or try telling them good dog afterwards and see what happens. You may have to make it a habit. When you can guide people that way, a lot of times it's just ignorance. They just don't know. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful. Sorry, Susie, I think you were going to.
That's okay. No, it's fine. One of the other things that I'd like to just add to that is also just have an awareness that there may have been something within that person's life previously that has created a fear for them. I remember as a child, my mum was absolutely adamant that we were never going to have a dog because she didn't like dogs. And we were never going to have a cat because she was allergic to cats. My grandmother on my father's side always had dogs. She had poodles and she had a cat, you know. So obviously journey into my grandmother's house was always an interesting time. But her reasoning, as it turned out, as I grew older and then started to question why, because obviously as children, it's like, please, 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 can we have? No, I don't like animals, not having an animal sort of attitude from my mum. And it wasn't really until we were in our teens that we discovered the reason my mum didn't like animals was because she'd been bitten by a German Shepherd as a child and she'd been badly scratched by a cat. So both of these had, and she was a young child when these happened. So both of these instilled a fear base in her. So obviously over time, we sort of were able to nurture her around. And eventually my dad was allowed to bring a puppy home and we had a dog. And to this day, my mum's still, she's still not keen, but she's adjusted to having animals around now. So it's also looking at other reasons why there may be a particular trauma, if you like, that this person's had, why they don't like animals, and just being aware of that.
And maybe even helping provide the opportunity for them to, we have to reassociate when we overcome those fears.
Yeah.
And so, having the opportunity to, spend time, maybe that's not what that person is, needs to be doing in this life. But if it is, sometimes that's part of their journey to get to know a different being, see each animal as an individual being as something that wouldn't be harmful so that they can reprogram that association. So, yeah. Wonderful, Susie. That's such a good point. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So scrolling up here. Let's see, we have Anne wanting to connect to her dad today. I'm sorry you're missing your dad, Anne. And I want to just say first, I don't believe that I'm the best person at missing. I must say my pain runs deep when I miss anyone or anything. My animals, my family members. I have a Scorpio moon, so my emotions run quite deep. And there's a beautiful spiritual sacredness to that has a very profound effect on me. So, I'm not claiming to, walk on water with those that I miss. But I will say from a spirit perspective, the process we go through, and this is coming from spirit now, and all the readings that Susie and I have done, we experience this. I think, am I just echoing, Susie, or am I coming through on one of your devices? It must just be an echo. Shoot.
A bit of an echo, I think. You sound all right to me.
Okay, well, let's hope I don't echo too much. Part of the process of us being humans and going through this physical experience is the general unawareness that we are simply transitioning to and from different planes of existence. And that's intentional, because without the feeling of loss, there's an aspect of experience and growth that is very hard to put into words and define that we would be missing. And sometimes the most painful things are our greatest blessings. And so this isn't just for you, Anne, this is for everyone. Keep in mind as you're going through the missing of loved ones that this is a divine process, actually, because when we're in non-physical, we can't miss. We know that nothing is ever lost and that we are always receiving. And so the only way we can experience loss and that type of emotional pain is being here in human form and having other souls return home. And believe it or not, there's a lot that happens internally for us when we go through that process. Part of that is learning to reconnect with them and broaden our perspective of the greater picture. So keep in mind as we connect with your dad that this is actually a very important and vital process that he is now aware of as well. Do you have anything to add to that, Susie?
As you were talking, what was coming through for me, I get a very strong sense of a military connection. So I'm not sure if this is Dad or if this is somebody around you that you're connected to, but I did draw some cards for you. My feeling, I don't have the deep emotional connection to missing our loved ones in spirit. My husband passed away 30 years this year at the age of 38. And yes, I went through the grieving process and over the years and everything, but I don't miss him in that way. Because my understanding now is that obviously when we go back to our energy of spirit, we are back in that form of love and a beautiful energy space and are with us all the time. It's the physical contact that I feel we miss, and that ability to be hugged or kissed or, you know, those things initially. So yes, I missed that at the beginning. But as I began on my path and walked my journey with all the spiritual modalities and practices that I've done, developing my mediumship, being able to have that beautiful connection to spirit, even if it wasn't my husband, I became to understand that for me, when they return home to spirit, it's a beautiful gift. You know, it's a gift that they are receiving. I know of somebody who won't attend funerals because he doesn't believe that they've gone or passed. And it's not that he doesn't want to offer his condolences, but he said there's nothing to offer condolences for, because the spirit person has returned home, and therefore they are well, happy, and, you know, full of love for us as we are here in the physical plane. So for me, I just feel if you can come to that awareness and that understanding, again, I think this reflects what you were just saying, Larkin, that they are with us all the time, that they are always around us, that they watch over us, then you can change that sense of that deep emotional pain that you feel with missing them to actually being something of comfort, even joy, you know, at time. So for me, when I know that Bob is connecting with me, it's usually through a record playing on the radio, and I instantly know that he's come around. And in that moment, I feel such great joy that I've got that connection, even if I don't actually physically sense him in the spiritual sense of connecting that way, or, you know, being able to physically hold or touch him. Just knowing that he's presented himself by sending me this little message is enough for me. So that's my sort of feeling around how we might miss them, and not to miss them, because when we miss them and we hold on to that energy and, like you say, that deep emotion of missing them, we can also prevent ourselves from connecting to them or seeing the signs that they're bringing us to show that they're connecting to us. I remember a while ago, I used to have a lovely lady came to me every 3 or 4 months for a reading, wanting to connect to her mum. because she just felt she couldn't make that deep connection. She missed her. And when we were able to do the work that she transitioned from that deep emotional pain of missing her mum to understanding that mum was always with her and bringing this closeness around her, she then was more open to receiving. And she then found that she started to receive her own intuitive messages and ways to connect with mum. And she's moved on now to a beautiful place where she writes the most amazing poetry that she gets through her divine inspiration. And she's often said to me, she just feels that that's mum helping her do that. So there are ways that you can sort of change the process. But one of the things that while you were talking, I drew some cards for you. So we've got the lovely Oracle of Alice from the Tarot of Wonderland, and she's talking about strength. From my own Oracle deck, the importance of being you, I've drawn a fairy card, and you've got fortune. And from the Tarot of Pooh, we have got the world. So I do feel that there's a lot of strength in the world of spirit being brought through for you. They're bringing in this energy of, I feel you needing to find the strength within you to overcome this missing feeling that you're holding on to, because the sense that I'm getting is that Dad is always around you. He is making his way of trying to connect with you, because I just feel I'm seeing like music, hearing music, and I feel that's why I was just sharing about how that's the way that I know my husband is around me, is through this music. So on the strength card, it's saying about inner strength, bravery, compassion, and focus. I do feel that this is about you needing to bring into focus more of your own compassion for yourself as well. With the fortune card from the fairies, I'm very much drawn to feeling that there is things going on around for you at the moment that you may not be seeing yet, but the subtle changes are coming where your fortunes, if you like, for want of a better phrase, are going to change. But it's about also changing your own perceptions, change it, because with the world card, it's about just attaining, celebrating life, completion, wholeness. So, and on it says, and as that is really the end of the story, and I am very tired after that last sentence, I think I shall stop there. And for me, what that message is saying, this part of your life where you feel this missing Dad so much, it's time to end that story, because it's a story you're telling yourself. It's a story that you're repeating over and over again, where it's come to the point now that it's become it's entrenched in your energy field. And a lot of what Larkin and I teach is very much about changing our perceptions, the way that we think and feel, so that we can then move into a different vibrational energy. So I do feel that it's time to bring this sense of missing Dad to a completion, to really starting to shift how you think and feel about this, to allow yourself to open up to the vibration that can be yours, that you can then work with your own intuition. You can then start to see, sense, and feel the messages that Dad is bringing through for you. And as I finish here, what I'm being shown is I'm being handed a medal. So there may be something around a medal that your dad may have had or earned, but also for me, a medal is very symbolic of, you're being celebrated for the achievements that you have made as well. So I feel that there's something that you've perhaps done recently or are coming close to completing, whereby there will be a celebration, and the medal is this metaphor for you celebrating that completion.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting all the same things that Susie does. Usually, I mean, we're talking to spirit, so it comes out differently. But the other thing too is that and it's the direction and the focus once a loved one moves on is what you need to do for you to heal and move on and be the next best version of yourself. And so losing a loved one is always getting out of our comfort zone. And one of the opportunities that comes with his passing and overcoming this is it's not so much the overcoming of missing him, it's transforming how and what you do with that. And so, like what he's sharing, for example, is you're stronger than you know. You don't give yourself enough credit for things. Your attention is, a lot of it is, I don't want to use the term wasted, but he doesn't want attention that you could be giving to living vibrantly and enjoying life. And there are, a lot of things that you want and could be doing and enjoying and becoming. He doesn't want any of that time and energy, on mourning, or, I know there's things that you'd still like to ask him, things you'd still like to talk to him about, things you would have still liked to have done with him. Those are things that he knows they're in your head, in your mind, but it doesn't actually mean they've been lost and missed, because as Susie said, he is there with you all of the time. And now his focus and pursuit is supporting and encouraging, not just the healing, but that healing is the moving on and preparation for this next phase. What is the next phase in your life? What is the next growth for you? And that's his focus. He does try to connect with you. He does try to let you know he's there. He does try to help teach you how to connect with him. And I get a tremendous feeling of warmth and wonderful laughter. And he wants you to move forward with those projects. He wants you to know that in the new things that you embark upon, in this new platform of life for you, he's there. He's in those things because you are a part of him. He's in you. I mean, physically, you are a part of him. Mentally and emotionally, you're a part of him because you're his daughter. So as you move forward with these things, there are aspects of him that he's showing me, which I think is beautiful right now, that are going to come out that will be healing and reassuring for you. But you have to, it's up to you right now to kind of walk across that cold, wet creek and get to that other side. Okay. And you can do that. So a couple suggestions that might help you connect with him is, I'm seeing you sitting quietly with a candle, having a peaceful, quiet conversation where you'll be able to feel his presence. Different spirits show me different ways in which and where they try to connect. He shows me when you're really in the stillness, that's when he's trying to really connect with you. And just know when you're feeling super emotional, it's that electromagnetic vibrational energy in your frequency, okay, that you're feeling. And I hope that helps. As I tell everyone, because Spirit tells me every time, write to him, journal to him, so you can start validating for yourself that it's truly him connecting with you. The writing will help you to do that. You'll be able to see what's coming through on paper. Okay. It doesn't mean every time you talk to him, you don't have to, but
that was just what was coming through for me as well, to write things down, write him a letter. And then one of the ways that you can do that is write the letter to him and then sit with pen and paper and write the response from the letter that you've written, and just bring that energy through as well. So,
and for me, I would just do it as like Susie suggested a letter that works. For everyone, it's a little different. So you can pick your way. For me, I would just journal it. Like for me, I would write things, and then sometimes I'd have to wait a day or two, but then a lot of times it would come back to me when I wasn't writing. And then it got to the point where I could write and they'd answer me while I was journaling. So do what works best for you. If letter form works best, if putting it under your pillow at night works best, if writing it just on a piece of paper works best, if journaling works best, play with it. But what works best is just going to have to do with your own mind.
I'm just going to pop this one up, Larkin, from Maria. My response to this is, I'm going to send you so much love, so much energy for healing, and that this comes to a positive completion for you. But reading for missing people is not something that I do from my energy field. That's not a connection that I make. I don't know if that's something, Larkin, you can do, but certainly from my perspective, what I can do is send you lots of love, lots of healing, and ask the angels and the universe, the guides, our divine and loved ones, to help bring this to a positive outcome for you.
Yeah. So we do on this broadcast, and this was the one I was going to bring up too, Susie. We do readings each time. We try not to spend the whole time doing readings because a lot of times people just get on, they just want to run off with a reading and they don't learn anything that can help them apply it. But we do readings on here, yes. I am with Susie on what she just said, partly because I believe that there is a tremendous liability on many levels that has to do with missing persons, on a legal level, on a mental and emotional level. And so it is not that we're not trusting what we're getting. It's just that there's a lot of people as well that like they'll say they won't do pregnancy readings or they won't do health readings. I always have a notion that I put ahead of, when I do a reading for people's health or whatever, I always pre-note it with, please make sure that you don't ignore what your medical practitioner is saying over that, perhaps, because readings there's always room for interpretation, and they're done from outside of time and space. So as valid as they may be, since we're always looking for validation, the type of reading you're asking for is exceedingly difficult to give a validation for. And so, I've seen many situations in the past where that did not go well. So I apologize, but I'm going to, I'm with Susie on this one, is that, I'm going to send out love and prayers, and,
Okay.
for her safe return and well-being, and for things to work out for the best.
Yeah, I mean,
this is really the only type of reading that I'm very leery and cautious about doing, for many reasons.
Absolutely. And I think as well, it's the type of reading that actually needs more time and space to connect with than what we can do here on this channel. And certainly, I feel for me, if I was to do a reading around this, it would be more around the support that's needed to come through, rather than actually, specifying where this beautiful child may well be. I can give you the name of a medium that I know that does specialize in this work. So if you want to message me afterwards, Maria, I will drop you that person's name. But again, I don't know I know it's a work she specializes in, but I don't know what her results are, is what I will be honest and say there. But I can certainly share her name with you if you want to message me.
And, for all of you guys, keep in mind that, again, and I'm throwing this out there. This isn't just for us. This is for everywhere. When you're getting a free online reading, understand it is a free online reading. So we try to get as many people as we can, at least the immediate answers that will bring them peace and comfort and guidance as to what they need to do. It is not the same as an online group reading or as a private reading. This is not me just trying to sell you something, although this is how Susie and I make our living. This is literally, this is the truth. It is not the same because our focus is different. We're asking spirit for something to make sure that as many people as possible get what they need at that time. I think it's sort of like anything. When you get, money is an energy exchange, and the time and energy that people are giving, there is an exchange there. So it will always be different when you get on for online readings. And again, this is something that would probably need to be more private, I believe, in my perspective.
For sure, definitely.
So I will have to get off shortly because it's 7 degrees, and
I'm in the same position too. Yeah.
But I want to let everyone know that on the 28th of January, there's going to be a group online reading. And, if you want to, join us for that, you can register at larkinsreadings.com. And I'll try to post that here. We are back on Mondays. We will do more free live readings. Susie and I both have lives on our pages. So you can check out our pages. We have lives where we do card pulls and where we do free readings. And you can also schedule readings with us. So we make sure every week there are multiple opportunities whereby you guys can get readings free or low cost for you to get some of the support you need, because it is hard to get with everyone. I know this was going to be an hour-long program for us each week, but it always ends up being like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But we do want to be able to get to everyone.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I think that
if it's not this week, then, come back next week and see us, and we'll see where we're drawn and where we go.
Absolutely.
Or, as she said, find us on our other pages, etc.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page so that we can,
please do.
Reach more people on there. It's brand new, so we hardly have anybody on there, but it's very easy for you to see when we're live. And be able to comment and whatnot. So I love that people wanted to talk about animals today. Those animal readings are always welcome and are very important. That we include them in our work and our readings.
For sure. Yay. Thank you, Larkin. It's been amazing. Sorry I was so late to the party, so to speak.
Okay. I know there's quite a few guys.
From my perspective, it's been a beautiful day. It's been amazing. One thing I just wanted to also share with you guys is I'm doing a new healing modality called QRIT. So it's QRIT. It's a quantum healing therapy that I'm training in. So if you would, I'm looking for 2 people, because I've already got a queue of people, but I'm looking for just 2 more people to come and be case studies for me. So if you'd like to be a case study for my QRIT training, contact me and we can schedule in a time for that. It won't be this week. It'll probably be next week now, because I've got some family things to deal with this week. And looking forward to sharing that new modality with you all. And if you want to know anything more about it before that, or you're not interested in sharing a session with me, but do want to learn some more about it, just contact me or drop a comment and I'll post the link where you can go and take a quick look at it all and see what it's all about. But I'm absolutely loving it. It's a fabulous new modality that I'm learning, and it's great.
Wonderful. Well, guys, make sure, we have a lot of new things that are happening. And so make sure that you guys check in with Susie's Facebook page and my Facebook page. On the YouTube page right now, we don't have all these individual things listed, but we both will be posting and showing what we are doing, both separately and together. So you'll have a lot of our support for upcoming opportunities and events and things like that. So just keep an eye on that. We're sharing with you each and every day of the week. So thank you all so much for
being. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. And for everybody who comes and watches the replay, thank you so much for coming and watching the replay. And we look forward to connecting with you all again soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.